Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff back here with co-host
Chip. What's going on, everybody?
What is up, Chip? What is up, On the Chain community? Hey, today want to get into XRP bulls and bears. And there's been a little bit of news going on with Binance, Ethereum, PAC, and so much more. So little time to cover it in. I feel like I've missed out on months of stuff and I've only been gone for like 3 or 4 days.
2 episodes.
So, 2 episodes.
Good to have you back. Let's do this. Ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
What is going on?
And we're back. Yeah, it's good to have you back, Jeff. I mean, I was holding down the show on Thursday night, then of course yesterday morning, and I realized something important. Saturday mornings early, not my thing, man. It was like it's getting up early. I'm making a thumbnail. I'm like assembling everything. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm usually, I do get up early, but I'm not prepping for a show. I'm usually getting ready to listen to you do the show, but it's all good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was good. Good to have you back. It's like having, two things that go well together, like chocolate and peanut butter, back together.
Exactly.
Crew's back.
There we go. We're back.
We're back.
We're back in business.
Back in business. Yeah. And there's a lot, of course, it was a lot of weird things going on. Like, I wouldn't say weird things, but just a lot of stuff it's crazy. All the stuff that's really going on out there. And, but we're happy to dive into it. Gosh, we have a lot of stuff on the, for tonight. And
a good place I want to start. And we've talked about JP Morgan for, I don't know, probably, if it's been more than a year, maybe 2 years, and it's kind of crazy because JP Morgan, they were anti-Bitcoin, anti-crypto, anything that wasn't JP Morgan. Then they decided they were going to launch the JPM, right? The JPM token, the JP Morgan token. And then all of a sudden they started talking about the positive attributes of digital assets and crypto and Bitcoin. And then you have some analysts in favor, some analysts against, and it's such a conflict over there at JP Morgan. In this latest article that came out, it says here that Ripples, and they like how they say Ripples XRP, BTC, ETH, Doge, and others were likened to rat poison in a JP Morgan survey. What is going on with these guys over there?
Yeah, again, it's a lot of misinformation going on out there that just contributes to all this, and there's a lot of stuff that is written out there. It's just like off. It's like this whole Binance thing. At the first glance, it was like, and we'll jump into it a little bit later, but everybody got it wrong. There's like a lot of people writing they didn't even read. They didn't even take like the time to actually read the release that was put out, and they started jumping to all these conclusions. Everyone's like, "Oh man, Binance is getting banned everywhere." No, it's not what happened. So we'll dive in a little bit to that. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing with JP Morgan, though, do you believe anything coming out? I mean, everything they say,
not so much.
Well, it suits themselves, Jeff. I mean, everything they do is like custom around. Let's see, how are we going to get some juice out of this? How are we going to get some extra, oomph out of this? And it's like it's not even grounded in reality anymore. It's a giant bank that, of course, they're going to like look after their own interests, right? I mean, that's kind of what they're doing here.
That's right. So here they did a survey, and they were talking to 1,000 investors from, or 3,000 investors from 1,500 institutions. And so this is where this all kind of derived from. It. They said 10% of the institutional investment firms surveyed were actually trading in digital assets. And then they said 90% were never going to. But you know what? How do you know? That's where they stand right now. I'm fine with that. 10%. We know that the investment in this space is relatively small. As an overall, we did that amazing deep dive in how all the money is allocated. So 10% right now of institutional investors, to me, that's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, of course, a big number, but I mean, what I don't understand is like where are they going with the news, right? What comes out of this whole sentiment of like the tribalism of like, oh, this is like, we'll liken the Ripples XRP to rat poison. Well, if you actually put that artificial sugar, it's like one molecule off of what real rat poison is. Let's talk about something that's like closer akin to rat poison, but just calling it rat poison is like what the and I always wonder, like, when they put out polls, there's a lot of leading questions. Like, a lot of times they don't, the question is very leading. Like, do you think that this horrible currency is akin to rat poison? Well, yes, I do. It's so a lot of it is like, what's the actual question? You hear about a poll that's put out, but you don't know what the actual question was or how they derive the information. You know how those leading polls go, right? They kind of like lead you in a way to the answer that they want people to say.
Well, I'm sure the question was, if you were to compare cryptocurrency to poisons, which of these poisons would you most closely, compare them
Let
to?
me think about this. Strychnine, potentially. It's like, what would you say? Like, what's that stuff they used to cover your face with in the movies, and you would like pass out or die from? What was that stuff called?
I don't know. I can only think about formaldehyde right now. I'm not sure what it
I
was.
wonder why, Jeff. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody put out here, Hungry always, rest in peace, John McAfee, rest in peace in the UK. It's funny, Jeff and I were supposed to interview John McAfee and he was supposed to come on here, and we had an interview time set up, and like, he didn't show up, and like 15 minutes later, we reached out to his wife, Janice, who does all the booking. She said it was some kind of I don't know, some scheduling error or something like that, and if we wanted to reschedule. And Jeff and I really never did, so it's kind of a sad thing we never did. But look, he was going on every cryptocurrency show. He was on a big crypto tear, decentralization tear. That's the part we wanted to hear about. There's a little bit of a fear for him coming on, dropping lots of F-bombs and stuff he might say that could potentially strike the channel. So there was that kind of concern for us after we watched a bunch of other things where he appeared. So, there was always that. That was I don't know understand what this means, Jeff. Jeff Beach, you're a Jeff, so maybe you can interpret this. I don't know what that means. Want by XDC, pain.
And the ass.
Oh, you're trying to get XDC, and I guess it's a pain in the ass purchasing it. Is that
pain
it?
in the ass. Pain in the
well,
ass.
it is. I mean, you can buy a BitTrue.
Well, you can go to BitTrue.
BitTrue is pretty easy to purchase there. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, Jeff, this whole thing. I mean, I think the whole idea of all these big banks, they're all kind of like the same in the sense that they're just like putting out messaging and this is bad. Meanwhile, the back door, they're loading up the Bitcoin as a like, oh, Bitcoin's gonna crash to zero, and I can't believe it. Meanwhile, there's volume there, and meanwhile, you saw like a 10% increase today. It's like it had one of the biggest increases where it went zoop up again. And if you bought at 64,000, you're like, and it goes down to 30, you're like, you're an idiot. But if you buy around, when it hit 29 briefly, and then you're on your way up to 35, 40, 50, and then we have somebody else weighing in that we know very well who weighed in about Bitcoin, which we'll jump into in a little bit. But yeah, I don't put much stock in that. I think I want to segue to this because here, look at this. The SEC accuses the XRP army of issuing false statements against its leadership on social media, right? The commission argued that Ripple's motion, if granted, would open the floodgates for company to request testimony from high-ranking government officials. And the ongoing lawsuit between Ripple and U.S. Securities, the SEC, continues with regulatory body claims. And Thursday, the motion addressed to Judge Sarah Netburn in the Southern District of New York. SEC requested a conference to discuss quashing the motion from Ripple to subpoena the former director of the regulatory body division of corporate finance, William Hinman. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Yeah.
What do you think the judge is going to do in this scenario?
Well, I think what's funny is this article, because
it is a funny article. Yeah.
Go back to the top again. What's the title of this article?
The title is "The SEC accuses the XRP army of issuing false statements against its leadership."
When is Turner going to get to the point of his title?
Well,
I'm trying to understand that part. That's all I want to know about is his title. I don't, in this whole conversation over Hinman and all this other stuff that's going on in the case is awesome. But I want to know what this title has to do with anything else that's being discussed in the article up to this point. Jeff, I was reading through the article. It took me a long time. Yeah.
Are you saying Mr. Right is Mr. Wrong? Is that what you're saying? Mr. Right?
I'm not saying he's Mr. Wrong.
Well, it's just like I was just playing a little funny goof off his last name, Mr. Right.
Can he call me Mr. Right?
No, his
Call me
name, his
Mr.
last
Wrong?
name is Right. Turner Wright.
Okay.
I'm
So we
thinking
can call
maybe
Mr. Right,
Turner Wrong.
call Mr. Wrong.
Yeah,
Close
so
it.
it's so you got to roll down a little bit here to kind of get to what he's talking about. First of all, it's all stuff around the case. But
Right. Yeah.
going back to him, and what
All
do you
right,
think is going
let's
to
go
happen?
back to him then.
Do you think they're going to
Sure.
quash that? Do you think they're going to allow the deposition from William Hinman?
Is it definitely going to be Hinman or is it somebody else?
It's Hinman. Yeah, they announced it while you were away. They did announce
Oh,
in
see
the
what
court
happens when
filing,
you-
I believe on Friday, where they did come out. And that's actually it was on Thursday because I know I covered it Thursday night where I went through a bunch of stuff. And in one sense of it, they were saying, he's a high-ranking official, and in the very next statement, they were saying, well,
Not
what did he
anymore.
know? He didn't know anything. How could he possibly know anything? He was a high-ranking official,
Right.
so
He was nobody.
he was just nobody. He was just a guy that worked there. I mean, at the end of the day, he wasn't anybody special. It's like he's a very high-ranking official that you're trying to depose. And the next very point they made in that trying to quash that deposition. He doesn't know anything. How he has no firsthand knowledge of it. Well, of course he doesn't. I don't know. My gut feeling is she's going to allow it.
I think so too. I mean, why not? I mean, you're in a case that goes back 8 years. 8 years ago. Why won't they depose people from over the course of the 8 years from the SEC? Why just singling it out now with Hinman? Why not go all the way back to 8 years ago and start reading some of the text from the SEC to Ripple as it pertains to XRP? Oh, from that point all the way forward, let's see how many times they addressed XRP. How many times did they bring it up with Ripple to say, hey, by the way, Ripple, know you're working on this project, but you realize, we've spoken to some of our legally scholars, and we have come to this conclusion after discussing this topic with our legal scholars that you might be dabbling in what might be referred to as a security.
Yeah, it's a fair question, right? Look at this here.
I don't know that conversation ever took place.
Sir John said, I've issued a false statement against Gensler the other day, calling him a great example of a moral government servant. Oh,
I don't know, Chip. I mean, it's so ridiculous because, I mean, we got to get to the bottom of it. You can't come out as the SEC and make accusations against a company and the leadership team of that company without catching a little bit of flack yourself for sitting on the news for 8 years. I mean, if they've been so fired up and passionate about this idea, where were they 8 years ago? That I'm still confused about this whole 8-year window where the SEC pretty much just ignored it for 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's it. That's what this whole thing's about. But it says some of the ideas on social media pushed by XRP token holders about the SEC leadership include members of the commission that are working to make China's economy greater than that of the United States, requests from the former chairperson, Jay Clayton and Hinman, to be investigated. And then there's the occasional comparison of one or more members to lizard people, and that was none other than Jungle Inc. He goes, look, there's our friend. Well, there it is. He's our friend Hinman. I can't imagine what they might want to discuss. And there he has SEC Hinman giving a speech about how the ETH Foundation did an ICO but did not enter into an investment contract paid for by the ETH Foundation. Yeah, that's fantastic, right? So the occasional lizardness, sliminess, that's fine. It's all fair game. But that's what they're really worried about. XRP Army members.
Lizard people.
Yeah, they've also started an online campaign to get exchanges to relist the token. Yeah, because why would you want to do that? I mean, who's been hurt? The investors here. It's like
why would anybody want it relisted?
Imagine the goal of the XRP Army wanting to have XRP more readily available on more exchanges, right? I mean, the sheer, that's madness, Jeff. In April, the price of XRP reached a nearly high, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, you see a lot of this type of stuff where, I love that line right there when they say, the occasional comparison of one or more members to lizard people.
The lizard people.
That's like that whole article was all being serious until I got to the end, And
it's too much. That's why I read that article and it was a rehash of everything, and I get it, but it was just funny not being able to get to the point of his title until the end of the article, and obviously we read it. If he just said this is a rehash of all of the legal stuff, maybe nobody would read it. But hey, the title was great.
Yeah, and another fun
to read through it.
Well, here's another one. This one's pretty good too. I thought this one was good. Let's just stand on the XRP topic right here. But you had this come out. This is Haley Lennon. She tweeted out this Bitcoin versus Ripple. So we have Bitcoin on the left-hand side, and obviously Rob Schneider's version of Ripple on the right-hand side, right? So she said Bitcoin v Ripple, and that was it, right? That's all she put out. And then people jumped in. There was like a whole bunch of people, and Matt Hamilton from Ripple X said, I do genuinely wonder what your issue with Ripple / XRP is. I mean, I guess you dunk on it because it makes your tribe happy, right? What would it take for you to decide you actually wanted to understand how cryptocurrencies work? I'd be happy to chat if you want.
I love
fair.
it. That was
fair,
a great
right?
response. I thought so. Yeah.
And then,
I like how he singled out this whole idea of Ripple. What's the issue with Ripple XRP? As though Bitcoin is a company that you can compare to Ripple. Bitcoin, Ripple doesn't really work in conversation as a comparative.
Yeah, and then you have Crypto Eddie came in. She says drunk tweeting, not dunking. Drunk tweeting, obvious to me. Matt Hamilton jumps in and says, "Well, yeah, I guess so. I'm just curious what the insecurities someone must have that's their go-to for this kind of thing. It surprises me how many people in this industry seem to be so proud of their toxicity and ignorance.
So
but you remember what happened at the Bitcoin conference? That whole diatribe about we all should be toxic and we should be we're proud of Bitcoin. It was like this whole big rant. Do you remember that one? It was kind of crazy.
I do remember the rant.
Yeah, so I'm going to see what we have here. And then, of course, XRP Army chimed in. Yeah, I'm grateful to the XRP community. Yes, at 59, it can be a bit childish, but people like you and Eddie makes it feel like it's great about my belief in Ripple and XRP. I don't want to be like the BTC maxis, tribalistic, and they're not critical thinkers. And then
So that whole article, was it all about the XRP Army news, or was that article really pertaining to the one we were reading before? Or is it pertaining to members of the XRP Army?
No, this has nothing to do. It's a brand new subject. She tweeted this.
No, I know. I'm just referencing, going back, just because we're reading a statement from the XRP Army news. So I'm just going back to the previous article.
Well, no.
Do you think it was written
no,
against the XRP Army news, or just the XRP Army?
No. So XRP Army news is he's that's what he calls himself, right? When they're talking about the XRP Army, they're collectively talking about all of us XRP holders, not necessarily XRP Army news particularly. They're talking about the XRP list holders at large, right? XRP Army just happened to tweet in there. Haley Lemon comes back and says, "I think it's a security and will be deemed as such."
About Ripple.
And then, well, yeah. So this is where we get into it. So she goes, "That's why Hester Pierce follows Haley Lennon BTC. These odd fools have no idea what a cryptocurrency actually does, and the differences between them." Most of her, and then unfortunately, most of Haley's tweets have nothing to do with crypto. More about her dates or nails, what she's traveling, what she's up to next. Matt goes, "Yeah, true, but I mean, people can tweet about whatever they want. My tweets are probably 50-50 on crypto and politics, but you're right. That's strange that's her only crypto-related tweet are dunks." And there was one in here that I thought was just right spot on here. This is it. How about CNF says, "Wait, is her point not that Rob Schneider is faster, cheaper alternative?" I was like, that's funny, man. I mean, totally.
That's funny.
Right? It's a faster, cheaper alternative, right? And so, yeah, funny. It goes on and on, but I just thought that was kind of funny. The whole idea of tweeting and who's this actor's name? What's his name? His name escapes me. They'll throw it in the chat. I don't know. He was on Game of Thrones and he was on, he was Aquaman and I don't remember his name. So for some odd, weird reason, I remember Rob Schneider. I don't know why.
Everybody remembers Rob.
Everybody knows Rob Schneider, but I don't remember the other guy. Throw it in the chat there. I don't know. They'll throw it in there. But anyway, that was again more of a humorous type of a thing. And someone else said, "Well, you do understand that Ripple is a company and XRP is the digital token. So when they say Bitcoin versus Ripple, it's kind of a silly sort of a comparison, like you said, Jeff. It's Bitcoin there's no company behind it versus a company that makes software that moves cross-border payments in 3 to 4 seconds using the digital asset XRP, and you just can't get them to notice. They're not. There's no interest in it whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, even when I got, when I had my brief exchange with Tone Bays, only because we have a common friend who's the BTC Maxi who got me into digital assets. And I mentioned his name. We took a picture together. We didn't go into a long conversation. It really wasn't the place, a Bitcoin conference. And it was just like, hey, yeah, we're friends, whatever. Took a photo together. That was pretty much it. People were like, did you get into a discussion about XRP? Did you talk about why it's better? No, man. I just saw the guy. He was nice enough to take a picture. Right. He was a nice guy, Jeff. He was very nice. You were standing right there. He was cool. He didn't seem like a jerk. He was like, yeah, can we grab a photo? Yeah, let's grab a photo. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, tell your buddy. He goes, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. But people are like, it wasn't the place to debate him whether I was, what does that have to do with anything? So people are like, oh, you had a perfect opportunity. No, change somebody's mind.
Man, you once went to a Bitcoin coffee shop and tried to convince the guy working there that he was wrong about being a Bitcoin maxi and he should adopt XRP.
Yeah, right now you're so stupid. And it's like you're being what you don't like. It's like, don't do that. If somebody asks me now, if I'm wearing, like the other day, I was wearing my XRP, I can't be 100% sure, but it's Magic shirt, and someone says, hey man, what's XRP? Or why would you wear that stupid shirt? And
don't know 100%, but I think it's Magic.
It is Magic, right? So, but that's a different sort of a scenario, and Jeff and I thought about wearing that kind of gear down there.
This shirt today.
But you don't wear that down to a Bitcoin conference, man. It's like, it's like, why would you poke the bear? It's just like, you don't want to do stuff like that, right? So,
but in retrospect, the next time we definitely will.
I think the next time we might.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that could happen, Jeff. It's a very possible thing.
Yeah, just a nice big XRP.
Big XRP. There you go.
And so let's see. And in other news.
You
saw that Visa was buying a Swedish fintech startup called
Tink. First of all,
£2 billion.
That name is a little bit weird. Yeah, it's right here. They're buying startup Tink for nearly £2 billion, which is a lot more than $2 billion. Because this has to do with, you remember they were going to buy Plaid, but the antitrust laws came up and they were unable to.
It didn't work so well.
Yeah. Didn't work out for them. So
this one on the other hand, this is pretty cool.
Well, I mean, look, you can see that Visa, MasterCard, look, these traditional companies need to get into blockchain. They need to get a foot in the door. Their very existence could be at risk, right? I mean, everything works until it doesn't work anymore. And, the banks and everything else, it's like the way DeFi, we got some news to kind of talk about a little bit later in the show about where DeFi is heading. It's like, if you're not going to be involved in that, you're like, oh, ask Blockbuster. I had some of these people that was too late. There was a time when Blockbuster Video, we used to go rent a videotape, and later DVDs, had the chance to buy Netflix for cheap.
There's people on here that have never heard of Blockbuster.
Yeah, Blockbuster that's why I said it was a video rental company where you rent either videotapes or DVDs. And then Netflix came
people
along.
On here that never heard of a videotape.
That's true, but they know what it is, Jeff. Come on. They never maybe had use of it, but they know what it is. And, same way you don't know what an 8-track tape is. Maybe you don't. But, the records too. Records, vinyl vinyl made a big sort of like vinyl, like my youngest daughter, she loves vinyl. Like, cause I have a lot of Beatle albums and stuff. She goes, do you have a way to play them? I'm like, no. She goes, you can borrow my player anytime. It's like a regular player with like a Bluetooth sort of setup on it. And she just plays vinyl because vinyl's it got really cool. The other thing I told you, which is she wanted to go to the store the other day. I'm like, would this have anything to do with you picking up your photos from your disposable camera? And she's like, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
And I said to her, I'm like, but we struggle. I go, I had to struggle with that when I was a kid, but you know what I mean? Because we didn't have, I go, now I've got a phone and now I can upload my phone to any kiosk and I can get a digital print. She goes, I know, but it's something fun about it. Like she thinks that's fun. I'm like, I go, one time we used to ride horses. That's how we got from point A to point B. We don't do that anymore either.
Disposable cameras. Now you take pictures, all these selfies, looking, checking, take it again. And back in the day with the disposable camera, you'd buy a couple. If you had a party, you'd throw a couple out there. around the room, and people would be taking all sorts of candid shots.
Yeah, and you know what
And you
happened.
take them and develop them afterwards, and you'd be like, "What the heck kind of stuff are you gonna find?"
Yeah,
It's
well, you
the
knew
best.
what you would find, and that was part of the issue is that you'd always find something. And I said, like I said, I guarantee, like the first 3 pictures are gonna be a flash where it's gonna be totally whited out. Yes, it was. There's gonna be one where it's gonna be blurry. Yes, there was. And I'm like, why do you put yourself through the pain?
But it was awesome.
Yeah, Parsa Persian here. Thank you for that. He says anyone being a maxi is missing out on all the great projects with real utilities. I don't care about Ripple. I'm just here for an early retirement. And there you go. And it's like, again, understands utility and utility of projects, and at some point, Bitcoin is a store of value. But if it's only the store value for $10, it's like, no. I mean, there has to be a certain level where you can actually store some value there. But, Parsi, you're pointing out something really important here, because you potentially do miss out if you're not looking for the utility, right? I mean, you're solving a problem of some kind. What are you solving? What's the point behind the project? And if it makes sense to you and you get in line behind it, well, then great. I mean, so, that's just my my little rant on that. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Jeff.
I do actually. I do have something to add real quick. Let me just make sure I can get my thoughts in line with this real quick. Hang on one second.
Wie einst Lily Marlin. Wie einst Lily Marlin.
And you
that's
see,
what I have
Sir,
to say. And that's what I have to say about
makes
that.
sense. But Sir John did this whole new video that he wanted to hopefully play. But you know what? He keep doing them, and then it might just find the rotation in here. It's very possible it could find the rotation.
That's right.
Yeah. So this tank was founded in 2012. It develops tech that allows third-party applications to connect the customers from different financial institutions. Does that sound familiar, Jeff? Sounds like a clone of Plaid.
The Tink.
It's
But you know
the
what?
Tink.
Tink has been around since 2012. So it's been
Yeah.
around a long time. I don't know
But I
when
don't
Plaid came out, so I don't know exactly where, maybe Plaid is a clone of Tink.
Yeah, but Plaid has a lot more. Plaid has a lot more penetration in the marketplace than Tink does. That's for sure.
Well,
Part of
let's
our
see.
3,400 banks. I mean, it has a segment of
good.
it. It has a decent segment, but it's nothing like what Plaid is. And of course, anytime you guys, usually if you're in the U.S., but maybe if you're in
Plaid.
Europe, you know.
See, Plaid stole the idea from Tink, founded May of 2013. Tink founded in 2012.
Yeah, and they rocketed to the top, and Tink's still tinkering around over there in the background.
Well, Tink.
Plaid crushed the marketplace, man.
Yeah. Well,
Totally
Plaid is close to paid, and Tink is just close to Tinker. So,
well, in the U.S., Plaid is the only thing you use. You connect to it; it's all done through Plaid. You want to connect to an exchange, done through Plaid. So it's so yeah, I don't know, but Tink seems to be a little bit more stronghold in Europe. So maybe if you're over there, that's a Swedish sort of a deal there.
Right. So Sweden, that's right. It was introduced in Britain in 2015.
There you go.
So interesting.
So here, there seems to be a glowing trend here, and this is I'm kind of shocked by it, Jeff, but it doesn't really make sense. I want to get your thoughts on this, but Ethereum now, this is the second trial where it's being used over XRP. Like for the Bank of Israel is now using ETH for digital shekel trial.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
They're looking for the smart contract. They're looking, if you're going to develop a digital token, a digital asset, currency, then you want to have more than just the currency built in. That would be my assumption. I could be way off without knowing what their intent and plans are, but building on Ethereum Plus, we're seeing all the, ERC20 tokens. They see that has been a trend. A lot of these CBDCs and these central banks are kind of Johnny came lately, to things. And, and they're mainly, since they're not doing the full research. They're not looking and saying, hey, XRP Ledger, hey, Corda, hey, XLM with Stellar. Hey, maybe there's another technology out there we should be looking at. They go, well, who has the most? Well, Ethereum has the most. All the ERC20 tokens floating around out there. Everybody hears about them. So let's go that rate, that way. Plus, maybe they can somehow orchestrate the smart contract in and around it. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? It just seems like there's a lot of discussion over that. Zero discussion. I think just one last note on that. Whoever wrote this, I think the idea on the Ripple, I don't think they would go to Ripple to build their digital asset. They're going to have to use the XRP ledger. They're not going to go to Ripple to do it. So it's going to be XRP ledger, Ethereum, but it's trial. So let them try it, and they're going to say it doesn't work, and then they'll.
Here's where I disagree with you. First of all, to gain access to the private XRPL, that they would have to go to Ripple for that, right? So again, the private XRPL, this is what banks are going to use. That was rolled out, and I also feel like the problem they're going to have is they're going to run into interoperability issues, and they're going to run into liquidity problems, and that's the thing, and speed issues, speed and cost of doing interactions. That's where that's what they're missing right now. The good news about doing a trial like this is going to fail miserably.
They're going to find all the problems. But I agree with you. Those are really good points, though. I think you brought up solid points.
Thanks, man. And it says right here, so the bank, they published reports calling for public comment on the potential issuance of digital shekel. Bank says it's been considering the issue of CBDC since 2017. Oh, yeah, we've been thinking about it since 2012. We started thinking about it right around in 1999. So, whatever that's all about. Monica Singer, South African lead for blockchain software company Consensus, told Forecast News many banks that are testing the possible implementation of CBDCs are doing so in private permission ecosystem, many of them using Ethereum. I just don't see Ethereum. Listen, I think XLM is prime for it. I think XRP, but again, you have the advantage of the interoperability. What about the liquidity issues? This is what they're all going to run into.
They don't care about that. They're just trying to recreate the digital fiat. At the end of the
That's
day.
a good point too, because if they're not looking all they're doing is they're saying, here's the regular shekel, the fiat shekel, let's turn it into a digital shekel. Okay, but then
what should we use to do it?
And how do we work with other currencies? How do we interoperate? How do we work with liquidity? You're right. They're thinking, their legacy thinking is what's holding them back.
Yeah. Whereas China with the digital yuan had really done some Belt and Road Initiative outreach to try to get all those regional countries to use the digital yuan in their trade. So that's how they're dealing with their centralized, non-compatibility issue.
Exactly.
But in this scenario, you're right. I mean, there still has to be rails. Nothing's going to change. It's just going to be digital representation of currency built on a digital platform. Some are going to choose Ethereum. Some are going to choose the XRPL. Some are going to choose Stellar. Some are going to create something centralized like the digital yuan that has nothing to do with cryptocurrency at all. And then that's it. And then somehow all the rails are going to have to connect all this nonsense.
Right. In a transaction scenario, right? So you have transactions that occur there. You're going to have gas fees. I don't care if it's a BEB20, if it's an ERC20, whatever's running on the Ethereum network, you're still going to have a potential issue with that. You're going to come into interoperability sort of scenarios. But what's kind of outstanding, mind-boggling here for me is like, why wouldn't you look at XLM? Why, Stellar? Why wouldn't you look at XRP? It's just,
maybe they are. We don't know it.
Could be. Well, I remember France was taking a good look.
Yeah,
France was taking a pretty close look at it. France was looking at it thinking that, but overall, like, who wins the race? Look, there's multiple places for other people. And I'm like, I just don't see Ethereum like fitting the bill. There's a couple other things out there that you would probably be more versed in going towards. But again, if you're just trying to recreate a digital version of it, yeah, fair enough. If you're thinking is legacy size, here, it's a digital, okay. What do we do with it? What happens next? So
yeah, but I think also, it could be that at this point in time, the SEC does have, seem to have put in the pause on some of these other conversations. But even to that argument, we've seen Ripple just steamrolling ahead with new development after new development. They're doing things. They're not just sitting back and not doing anything. And that's significant as well. Every country, they're concerned about their own sovereignty. They want to make sure that they're using a technology that won't crash their economy. And I think if they're going to dabble with Ethereum, then they're doing it for the same reason that Michael Saylor and others keep talking about Bitcoin and nothing else, mainly because it's a known entity in the space for what their use case, proposal is. Other than that, nothing. I think that's another reason why nobody's going to, or they're not going to Ripple or XRPL.
Yeah, but I don't
But
necessarily know that that makes any difference if you're outside the US. I mean, quite honestly, I mean, it's like, especially since most of their business is out there, 95% is what was quoted in that article with Stuart Alderati. Really a nice article about the lawsuit and everything else. So, but you're right. It could potentially have some issues where they think, oh, that could be having some problems. We definitely don't want to mess around with that. And that could be one of those things that really hurts the effect of Ripple conducting business. It's potentially there. So, and then the next thing I want to get into is like all this stuff about Binance. So Binance pulled out of Ontario, which is a province in Canada, and the one I'm most familiar with because I grew up right across the border from there and spent a lot of time in Ontario. But Jeff,
where it is, I've been wondering.
But they pull. Well, I'm just saying. I don't know who knows anything. But anyway, but people wondering like, they said, well, they got banned in Ontario. They pulled out because of the regulatory framework, right? That's from the way I understand it.
Yeah, I think there's some issues right now, and those issues seem to be very Binance centric. From Ontario to Japan to the UK, there's a little bit of discussion in and around things that are going on with Binance, and maybe it's just it's all piling on at the same time, but it does look relatively negative for Binance, although it's not all due to Binance. It's not like they're at fault of doing something negative. They're just things happening, and as a result, there seem to be changes, but maybe there's a bigger story here.
Yeah, but I think there's more like doom and gloom out there than almost anything else. So the FCA, which is the regulatory body in the UK, they put out this consumer warning on Binance Markets Limited and the Binance Group. And so rather than read all this gobbledygook, I think it's best just to go here. So SEQ, which is crypto SEQ on Twitter, put this really good thread. They kind of captured it. Seen a lot of misinformation being reported regarding Binance. They've not had a complete ban in the UK, and they're just not allowed to trade derivatives in the UK, which the UK banned all crypto derivatives on the 6th of January, 2021. They linked to that article there. And due to the imposition of the requirements by the FCA, Binance Markets Limited is not currently permitted to undertake any regulated activities without prior written consent of the FCA. And then while we don't regulate crypto assets like Bitcoin or Ether, now this is directly from the warning they put out, such as future contracts for difference in options, as well as those crypto assets, we would consider securities as restrictions increase on centralized exchanges. Fully decentralized platforms such as Injective will enable trading of any market regardless of local restrictions, creating a truly borderless financial sort of a network. And then Binance put this out. We're aware of recent reports about the FCA UK notice in relation to Binance Markets Limited, which is BML. BML is a separate entity, does not offer any products or service via the Binance.com website. So looks what they did is they kind of conflated the two. Binance is bad and they've been banned. Well, no, that's not what happened.
Bad Binance.
Bad. And then Binance Group acquired BML in May of 2020. It's not yet launched its UK business or used its FCA regulatory permissions. So they haven't even gone to the UK yet because A, they haven't launched it, and they would seek guidance on it, or at least reach out to them. So for any questions related to BML, please contact compliance at binance.uk, the FCA UK. It's always weird when you see those together. It almost seems like there's something. Anyway, notice that there's no direct impact on the services provided on Binance.com. Our relationship with our users has not changed, and we must take a collaborative approach in working with regulators and with our compliance obligations very seriously. We're actively keeping abreast of changing policies. Now, Jeff, something like this is, whether you like them or not, that's very damaging to their potential business.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some negative statements coming out I've seen multiple negative statements coming after some of the top players in the space. You have to begin to really question the timing of everything and wonder who's behind it. Because, one of the things that, we're seeing, like in this SEC case, what does the SEC do? They come after retail investors and try to undermine their good name and their reputation in the space in general, and directly attacking individual investors as part of a lawsuit that they have against a private company. It's mind-boggling. Then you have there were some interesting words against Celsius and Alex Mashinsky, and he responded. Now you're having misinformation put out about Binance, and then it goes on and on and on. And a big part of it has to do with inaccurate journalism. I mean, here we are, we're just talking about stuff that people have written, or statements or tweets or videos or whatever, and we're putting it together, and we've done a ton of research, and we're putting some opinions together, and we're workshopping these ideas, and we're putting them out there. These other people are writing articles about specific topics, and they're getting their facts wrong. And so completely different, perspective here. If it was an opinion piece and they said, hey, we're just giving you our opinion on this outcome, but that's not what they've done here. They come out directly, very aggressive, but it looks bad across the board, because if they're banning, it looks like the FCA is banning the crypto exchange from the UK. There's been some issue. There's been some tension. Josh wants to know where Brian Brooks is over here in the US. Have we heard from him? Is he saying anything? Has he come out? Is it relevant at this point in time?
By the way, I saw that, yeah. I just Googled that. Where is Brian Brooks? Apparently, Google still thinks he's at the OCC. So there's his Wikipedia, and then you look down here, and there he is, of course, at the Binance chief LinkedIn there. There he is.
Binance US.
Yeah, Binance.US.
Binance US, which is distinct from Binance Global. So correct. He doesn't necessarily have to come out and have an opinion or a statement, because he's Binance US. If he was worried about what's going on up in Canada, he would have a statement about what's going on in Ontario. UK, Japan, out of his jurisdiction. No one's asking him what his thoughts are. He doesn't need to volunteer it, so he's not going to say anything. Jeff, I'm okay with that.
This is the Financial Times, a pretty reputable, generally a reputable sort of that reports on financial stuff going on. It's not like some cheeseball publication. They totally get it wrong. Financial watchdog bans crypto exchange Binance from the UK. I mean, completely gets it wrong. It's ordered Binance to stop all regulated activities in Britain, impose stringent requirements, and a stinging rebuke of one of the world's biggest crypto. No, that's not what happened at all. But this stuff, people reading it, and I saw somebody else, I think it was XRP Rose, who said, it's unfortunate, but I have cut all ties with Binance. Well, why? Are you talking about derivatives market? I mean, she had some sort of an affiliate arrangement there. There's no reason to do that. Look, I mean, look at the way it's written. The intervention by the Financial Conduct Authority, best known as the FCA, in recent days, one of the most significant moves any global regulator has made against Binance, a sprawling digital asset firm with subsidiaries around this couldn't be more wrong, this article. And this is the thing what you're talking about, Jeff. It's like, yeah, I get the smaller publications, fly-by journalists. They write a thing, they submit it, they print it. This is the Financial Times. That's it's a nerve-wracking when you start seeing stuff like that.
The times of the finance. It is the time. And it's the times that we live in. So, yeah. Hey, so on another note, what do you think of this? Whoops. Bitcoin will go all the way to 160 this year, says Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky. That we haven't even seen the highs of Bitcoin yet this year. And he's talking about 160. He's calling it. He's calling 160.
Well, I got to say that, Alex is, he's pretty much on a different level. A lot of business experience and stuff. But I mean, so if it goes to 158, they'd be like, you liar, you lied to us. You are wrong. I mean, thing of the matter is, like, he's calling it this year. Okay, this year's a little bit different. Now, eventually, do I think it'll go to 160? I do. I don't know when it's going to go to 160, but if he's calling it for this year, great.
So he said here, when you go too high too fast, you're bound for a correction. You can see my tweets in both March and February saying we're going to have a crash. We're going to have a correction. I predicted 30,000. Bitcoin is like a spring. We stretch it too much and we put too much leverage. Too many people got greedy. And that's kind of, when you listen to him, and it's true, it was stretched. It was stretched to an overbought position. And when it stretches to an overbought position, it's definitely gonna, retract. And it retracted, came back down. People captured profits, the ones that are actively trading in and out, trying to predict ups and downs. Some of them can do it, others, can't, and some just ride it out. But he predicted this stretch. Now it's zapped back, and now it's going to start its accumulation phase all over again. And I find it interesting because I used to, trade on a kind of an algorithm theory, utilizing, it was a rubber band theory of rubber band stocks with the same concept. There are all these different factors you had to look at, but you're looking for the stock that stretched the other way in an oversold position, and severely oversold to the point that when it's so oversold and all these other factors are present, it's going to spring back the other way. And that's kind of what he's talking about in this case, where people are too greedy, went too high, so it's zapped back, and now it's got to start its slow build over again. I find it interesting, because there's a lot of tension going on in the space with a bunch of billionaires that are playing around with the digital asset space.
Read that right there. It says Celsius moves business operations to the U.S. When is that?
Celsius moves business operations to the U.S.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know they're setting up. I know they're setting up shop. 300 plus people over in Tampa, because that's when we went to the Ask Me Anything and down in Miami.
That's
but
right.
I wasn't.
Let's see.
But I thought they were based here. That's what's weirdly weird. I didn't realize.
We came to the conclusion that the UK, well, they have offices in the UK and here and other. We came to the conclusion that the UK is not the most stable place for Celsius in terms of regulations and geopolitical perspectives. All right. Although Celsius has had a physical office in the U.S. since 2019, here's your answer. Right there. Cohen Pavone explained that Celsius will now become an LLC. Nothing changes with our services. We're now an LLC instead of Celsius Network Limited. I believe the transition to engage as a U.S. entity will be completed by early or mid-August. So there you go. Early or mid-August. See that? That's it.
There you go. And there you have it.
All because of the uncertainty.
Yeah, but I mean, the FCA has been a hell of a lot more certain than, at least they've got the three-prong approach, which I find to be a little bit more. But there's other political wins, and also too, the structurally, the way the company's set up, it could be from a taxing perspective and where you're based out of, and there's a whole bunch of things that could be playing into that. So I mean, that's the one answer you give. I did want to talk about something else I think is exciting. There's two brand new assets that are coming to Flare Finance, and that's not the Flare network. Flare Finance is building DeFi on Flare network. So first one we have up here, if you guys are familiar with David Gokhstein's, he's the CEO over there at PAC Protocol. PAC is now a Y asset on Flare Finance, supported on all of their products. The partnership opens up more ways to use PAC, including DeFi/NFT creation as its bridge to Ethereum. Thank you, Flare Finance, for opening the doors to more network interoperability. You ready? Go PAC. And then the other one is, boom, Flare Finance, pleased to announce Steve thing of PAC. That's not the one I wanted to. There's another one. There's another one, which is Casino Coin. Cool. And I thought I had that one queued up, but I didn't. But the other one that they're announcing is Casino Coin is also going to be on Flare Finance, which is pretty cool. So
Chip, is there any way that you might be able to set up an interview with Daniel from Casino Coin?
Yeah, I reached out and he said I think they had their head down, like on working on some stuff. But we did reach out. They're open to it coming on, and I just think it's a timing issue. So yeah, I think you have to go ahead and reach back out. Yeah, I think it was just more like a timing issue.
Yep. It's all good. All good stuff. Yeah, hopefully we'll get that set up. I don't know much about Casino Coin. I think it would be cool to have them on and really dig in, get a
Yeah.
better understanding of it.
Yeah, and again, so I think there's been a lot. I think a lot of people are looking at the project like when it, yeah, they had some initial fumbles, some stalls, some issues, but they got a new guy came in, took over the project, right? They're now based in the Isle of Man, which is a little island off the coast of the UK there, and they have a brand new team. And one of the key things, they made a really good decision to go on the XRPL. That's when I thought, I want to look at this project a little more serious, because now that they're making this sort of step, I think it makes a lot of sense to sort of jump back into it, because if they're going to go ahead and work on their, here it is right here, here's the announcement that I have keyed. This is right from Flare Finance. Pleased to announce support and pledge of a new asset, which is Casino Coin, known as CSC. But this will also be supported against all products in the ecosystem, like tag-free friends, Casino Coin. You have a chance of one of $500 prizes. That's one of the things that they're doing to support that. But I think this is great, because I'm starting to see Flare Finance starting to really kind of open up, doing some pretty incredible things. I mean, if we look back at their homepage, I know we've looked at this, but again, it's the very first DeFi platform built on the Flare network. And if you look, they've got, these are their products right here, which is Flare X is one of them. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Apparently I cannot. But yeah, Flare X. Then you've got Flare Wrap. It enables user to bridge their currencies to Flare network easily without needing exchange. Flare Farm, governance and yield farming platform. And you've got, and so all Casino Coin and PAC will roll into this. Flare Mine, decentralized yield mining platform that allows owners of Bitcoin or Ethereum mining rigs to mine various non-proof of work tokens. Additionally, will serve as the first infinite mining portfolio. Then you've got Flare Loans, which is an asset-backed loan issuance program or platform. And finally, you got Flare Mutual, which is a decentralized mutual fund, allows people to share risk together without the need for an insurance company. So they've got some pretty cool, exciting products coming out.
A lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool things in the works. And as you see, this kind of development, and then you see kind of the negativity coming from a JP Morgan or, some of the government drip leakage in the news, they kind of drip, misinformation out there regarding, because they're trying to push forward a specific narrative, so you're seeing a little bit of that, little bit of misinformation on Binance, trying to cause a little bit of turmoil, within the retail investment space, trying to look for weak hands, see who's going to drop out, and then they get to pick up the pieces, which I find to be interesting. Now, Chip, you and I talked a lot about El Salvador, going into the Bitcoin digital asset space. We saw a few others that were following that lead and saying, you know what, we like this idea. I think it was in a Paraguay, and there was couple other countries fired up about it. Well, now we're seeing Tanzania. Tanzania has like a massive about face, because there were laws on the books that were previously banning Bitcoin, banning digital asset, and now they're going to reverse course potentially because of pro crypto comments from a brand new president over there, President Samia Suluhu Hassan. So this could be interesting. She was sworn in as Tanzania's first female president after her predecessor died in March. And so very pro crypto. Now there's some expectation that there's going to be some changes. And now this is where it gets exciting, because look at this. So you have a $63 billion economy that's relying heavily on cash, no credit, no real mechanism. People have phones, some computers out there, they're looking a methodology to immediately digitize the people within the economy, bringing them into a modern day economy, allowing them to take control of their future, allowing them to take control of their finances. Implemented. That's all I could say for them over in Tanzania. Let it be positive. Why not let them move into Bitcoin or whatever digital asset they want to incorporate, because it's almost as good as El Salvador. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, because it just like that. You had a new leader come in and made an issuance to the central bank saying, "Hey, no, we want to go in this direction." And the story you pulled up right here with El Salvador to buy an estimated 135 million worth of Bitcoin, and that's to give to citizens. I think they're giving 30 to 35, roughly the equivalent to the citizens. One of the things that we wanted to play tonight, we'll play it tomorrow, but there's a short little video clip that really shows and explains what, because remember, before all this went down, there was a seaside town in El Salvador that they started using Bitcoin. I think it was about a year or two ago. So a lot of people started getting paid in Bitcoin. So this is kind of what led up to it. But I think this little short video, come back tomorrow night, we'll play it. But again, it shows the importance of why its effect on the citizens and what is so great. It's a great little clip. It's pretty short, but it explains exactly why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, man, this is huge. Good things are happening in this space. Good direction with this. I'm excited. I don't care what anyone says. We can look at the geopolitics of it. They're trying to gain sovereignty over their economy, over their country. In order to get full sovereignty over one's nation, you have to have your own centrally controlled monetary system that isn't so reliant on other government entities external from your country, whether it's the IMF, whether it's the WTO, whether it's another country or the UN or whatever it might be. You're not truly sovereign until you have more independence. And Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, digital asset, is a mechanism. It's still not perfect. Not to say these guys are going to roll it out 100% the way it's supposed to be rolled out. There'll be mistakes made. However, they're moving it. We have to assume they're moving in that direction for that cause in Nigeria, in El Salvador, in Tanzania, in how many other countries that are looking at assimilating the digital asset space. And to me, it's great. I like seeing this.
I agree with you, and I think this is the key reason. I want to put this up here. This is the United. This is a banknote, a $1 banknote. But look what it says here: the United States of America. On the top, it says the Federal Reserve note. It is not owned by the U.S. U.S. borrows it from the central bank. They have to now owe debt on it, and this is where these nations. To your point, Jeff, they want to start getting away from that. They'd rather go decentralized with Bitcoin. People go like, wow, it's not a good payment system. Doesn't matter. They're going towards decentralization than the whole idea of debt, right? Transacting in a decentralized asset, which is truly decentralized, versus a fiat note that's owned by someone else. There it is, Federal Reserve note. Okay, that means the Federal Reserve is the one that we don't know. We don't know what their books look like. It's never been audited since it came into existence in 2013. Nobody knows anything about it, and this is the same problem that every other country has. This whole idea of like, decentralization. Yeah, let's move down that path. Like Jeff said, is it perfect? It's not, and you made the perfect point of that, Jeff. It's not perfect, but the fact that they're taking the baby steps, especially some place like Tanzania, El Salvador, they're being put on the map. They're being singled out. People know about these nations from the people who are in crypto. Why? Because they're trying to make the best move for their particular countries. And I think the thinking is sound behind it.
Yeah, Sir John is saying Tanzania is an amazing country, among the best to visit as a tourist. And that's coming from somebody over in Croatia. And we know what a hotspot Croatia is for tourism this time of year.
I've been there. It's a great place. They got great beer there.
It's an amazing place. I want to get over there sometime. And so, Sir John, hopefully
We go there. We're gonna hang with Sir John for
be able
sure.
to go and visit you over there. But I do want to also, and I want to leave everybody with this thought, because we're kind of starting to see there's misinformation being spread while there's information being spread at the very same time. A Bank of America report acknowledges digital currencies can add value to emerging economies, developing economies, like in Africa, the ones we're talking about, in El Salvador, in others. But they don't like it, Bank of America, when it comes to their clientele that are using their bank. So there's a little bit of a conflict of interest, in terms of what they believe. Here it says cryptocurrencies are financial means used. Okay, we get all that. But anyhow, think about this, from that perspective, the studies that they're doing, the information, misinformation, or whatever, what have you, that's being, passed around here. And there's some really, amazing things going on. If you look at this, the most significant countries in Bitcoin trading volume are all part of emerging markets like Kenya or Nigeria or Tanzania, or, all these other countries that we just mentioned. Think about this, as you guys are getting ready to come back tomorrow night, for the next On the Chain stream. Because Chip, do you realize that we stream 6 days a week? Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m.
I'm aware of
Eastern
Saturday morning more than ever.
And Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I mean, Chip got to sit in on 2 sessions solo, Thursday at 8 p.m. and Saturday at 8 a.m.
Did them both.
Early riser.
Yeah, early riser. I enjoy listening to you and watching you as I'm drinking my coffee, and I got a couple of coffee recommendations as well that I'll have to check out. But yeah, that's it. I mean, guys, like, subscribe, click that notification bell. Best way you can help us, share it to people. The stream starts. Hey, tweet it out, put it on Facebook, whatever your social media platform is, Instagram, whatever. Nintendo Contra.
All else fails, make sure you go and play Contra tonight.
Yeah, do you do that too? Why not? Why not, man? Have fun. Enjoy yourselves. That's all Jeff and I have tonight. Beginning of an exciting week. A lot of stuff's bound to happen. Let's see how it unfolds. Let's do it together. Let's workshop it. That's all I have. Thank you again, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.
We're out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.